Welcome to today's optional workshop for the T program. And as you know, on Monday, we talk about how to set our Canvas rubric and outcome to align with your Canvas assignment. Today, we're going to show you a new feature called Canvas Learning Mastery Gradebook. And how can you view students' progress and learning outcomes, since you already set a very nice structure with the rubric and the assignment. Now you can actually monitor your students' progress, and that will be today's focus. And just a quick reminder, you know, there are 4 different workshops that we're offering as an optional workshop. So today is this topic. Next week, we have 2 more topics about how do you, oh, I forgot to update my slide. You have to, the Monday, we're gonna talk about how to manage the token system, how to onboard your student, your TAs. And Wednesday, we want to talk about how to use specification, how to use Gradescope to implement specifications grading. So if you want to learn more about these workshops, feel free to click on this link. There is a workshop description, agenda, as well as the registration links. You can also watch a recording on the T website as well as the Canvas website, the T Canvas website, as your leisure. But the video on the T website will be a little bit delayed because we need to edit it and put it on YouTube, just kind of letting you know. So if you want to know the recording right away, it's better just go to the T Canvas site. It is my honor to introduce our wonderful panelists today. We have Dr. Givens from Cal Poly Pomona. They're going to share their experience how to use the Mastery Learning Gradebook on Canvas to monitor students' progress. And again, we have our wonderful instructional designer, Eileen Chen, is gonna provide technical how to set it out. So I'm gonna stop share and let's give them a round of applause and get today's session begin. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you. So first, let me share my screen with everyone. So before mention the outcomes, I just would like to see anyone use outcomes before or it's new to you. Can you say it's new to you or it's like you used it before? Okay. So we are going to cover like a couple of different topics. You know, like first, like what are outcomes and when to use outcomes and how to find the existing outcomes or create a new one. Then number 4 is how to align outcomes with your assignments. At the end, we also are going to see how we can view the results on outcomes. So let me stop share and let me stop share first right now. Okay, so I kind of prefer to see everyone's face. So in this case now, if you have like a slide open, and would you mind to open your slides at the same time too? So like for example, what are the outcomes? What are the outcomes? So we know like outcomes kind of allow your university or allow faculty to check students like a mastery in a course. And the next, like when to use outcome, you know, like we can use outcomes to align rubrics. And also we can use outcomes to run reports. And another option is we can use outcomes to trace students' progress from their outcomes and how to. The number 3, I'm going to mention about how to find existing outcomes. So now I'm going to share my screen with you right now again. So if you have your Canvas open, then you may open your Canvas at the same time too. So for example, here's like my Canvas course. And from the course navigation menu, then you can find outcomes. If you don't find outcomes, you probably need to go to the settings and click navigation. And if your outcomes maybe hide somewhere, then if you hide somewhere, you can just like move it to the top. So now I already moved my outcome to the top. So now, you know, if you have your Canvas open, then you can just click outcomes from your course navigation menu. So then now you can see the outcomes. So the outcomes here, and let me close the window. Okay. So from San Jose State, we have like a different title outcomes. Like for example, the first one, like we are able to add outcomes for the course level or for professor. I mean, like if you want to customize or create outcomes, you can just like click the plus outcomes, then you can create individual outcome. So from here, you can see an icon. It's kind of look like individual. So you want to name your outcomes. Normally, we would like to have outcome like a number. So for example, mine, I probably do test like a test 1.3. Then you kind of put a description here. And after that, you will be able to see the rating. The ratings, the points, you can customize yourself. Then normally by default, the mastery setup is at 3 points. And the calculation methods, they have 4 different methods. Then you may set up based on like your needs. Then after you have done this, you click save. And for this method, it's kind of for adding customized outcomes. However, if you have group set, like for example, you can add a group. You can create a group. And let me show you example I have here. So for example, I have one outcome group set. This group set is from our aerospace department. So we kind of create a group set like a 1.1 to 1.17. And each one, if you click on each outcomes, and you can see the description here. Like for example, the one is mean student they need to show their mastery in engage in the solution of problems. So here's kind of how it looks. And another way is to find it from your college level or university level or program level. So for example, for San Jose State, if we click find account standard and we click San Jose State University, then we would be able to see a couple of different options, like for example, GE outcomes or university learning goals. And if I click it, and there listed like a couple of different outcomes. This kind of already pre-designed already. We cannot make a change at all. So as you can see here, the first one is kind of, for example, like specialized knowledge, and it's already preset. The calculation methods is kind of with highest score. Let me click cancel. So any questions so far?
Yeah, I did have a question. So can you just maybe state in a couple sentences? I mean, when you think about outcomes, this can be for assignments, for courses, for programs. I mean, what are we talking about when we talk about outcomes in Canvas?
Okay, so later we are going to have breakout room, and probably later we can talk about it more. So here I kind of briefly mention about like the outcomes can be used, can be attached to your assignments, to a rubrics, or you can attach it with your quiz. So like we have like 2 different ways. We have a couple of different ways to align an outcomes. For example, one way is kind of align outcomes with an assignment. The other way is like with the rubrics. So now I'm going to show like how we can attach it to rubrics. So now let's say I already have preset outcomes here. And now if I'm going to my assignments, so for example, this one. Okay. Yeah. So for example, I kind of create exercise assignments. So first I kind of need to, when I create assignments, and I will need to have rubrics first. So once I have rubrics, then I kind of just try to find an outcomes. So from here, I can find outcomes. So I can find if I would like to use outcomes for test 1.1, then I can attach these outcomes to the rubrics here. So here's kind of one way we use outcomes. Then after we have done this, so let me go back to my slides one more time. So here I mentioned about like the first things we know what's the outcomes, and the when to use outcomes, you can use for your assignments or for your quiz, right? Then now, let's just keep going. Okay, so like how to align outcomes. So I kind of show it to you, like how to align an outcomes. For example, I just show it to you. It's like how we add an outcomes to assignments. So after this, and we would like to see like how to build the result and how to build it. And first, we will need to go to the settings. When we go to the settings, then we click on the feature preview. Okay, so if we click the feature preview, then in order to build the outcomes, we need to enable the learning mastery gradebook. So we go to the settings, we click the feature preview, then we enable, first it's kind of disable, we need to enable the learning mastery gradebook. Then also the other one we can enable as well, it's called student learning mastery gradebook. So once you enable it, you will be able to see the outcomes and how to see it, the next step. So again, here is kind of how to enable the learning mastery gradebook. Then how to see it is we click on grades. And then it's kind of go back to gradebook. Normally here is kind of how we see our gradebook. Let me go back to our gradebook. Okay, so here's kind of like the normally when we click gradebook, then we see the view, like this. Here's kind of the gradebooks page. So if we enable the learning mastery gradebook, and when we click on gradebook link, if we click on the learning mastery, then we will be able to see the outcomes we have. So I have a couple outcomes, but I don't have students for this class. But if you have students from the class and you will be able to see the learning outcomes, now I kind of just hide. If I hide outcomes, now it's kind of doesn't show anything. But if I uncheck the hide outcomes with no results, you should be able to see the outcomes. And how does it look like? If you have some students, if you already use outcomes, and the page will look like again, here it's kind of open outcomes, right? The outcome page will look like this. So let me stop sharing. So any questions so far, or so Maurice, do you have any question, or we can just go to we can just open our discussion right now?
Well, I think you answered a lot of them yesterday for me. The bottom line is that the outcomes are for teachers, not for students. That was what I gathered, because I can't let students see the mastery as their grade book. Instead, they have to see the points that go into the thing. Which for specification grading, I'm grading them all or nothing. So it'll end up working.
I think maybe when I show you my course, you'll see that the students can see the outcomes.
They can see the outcomes, but they also see the grade book.
Yes.
I wanted them just to not see the grades in the grade book, but to see the outcomes and then have a final grade. But it doesn't work that way.
Okay, so
it's okay. I was confused. That happens a lot.
Okay, I think now you probably got an overview and have an idea about outcomes is. And probably I think if we can just move to our next topic for the faculty showcase and panel discussion, and probably we can learn more and clarify our questions. Now we are going to have faculty showcase and panel discussion on those topics. And first, we would like our presenter, our speaker, Berit. We have, let me show it to you here. Yes. So Professor Britt Givens will be our panelist today. And so now let's allow them to have like an overview. So like the first about 6-7 minutes for each, like we would like to learn, would like them to share how they set up and create, why they use outcomes and mastery gradebook, and share the experience in using outcomes. Let me start here. So, Britt, would you like to share your experience with us? Who would like to share first?
So I maybe want to address the question that was a little bit earlier mentioned of like, what are outcomes? Are they like program outcomes, course learning objectives, you know? And I honestly don't always know what the difference is between outcomes or objectives. Like, I don't really know all the lingo, but I will say that for myself, I created them to be the overview, the main topics that I wanted my students to master in the class. So I guess that would be course learning objectives, maybe something like that. It was like, what do I want my students to know when I'm done with this class? So let me see if I can. All right. So I am getting my screen sharing thing set up here. And now I think I'm good. So I set up my learning outcomes to be the things that I wanted my students to know. And I had them in basically 2 main groups. I had the fundamental outcomes, which are these are the skills that I think every student should master all of these if they're going to pass my class. And for each one, I had a description, and I told the students, you know, which section of the book it was from. For some of them, I had more of a description than others. And then I had these additional 10 outcomes that are, you know, good things to know, but I could live with a student getting a C in my class without mastering all of them. And so they have to do some of them to get the courses. I probably spent the most of my time preparing for this class on coming up with this list of outcomes. I originally started with 78 outcomes. I narrowed it down to 34 and thought I can't go no lower. And then I started thinking about what I was going to have to do and realized, no, I need to go lower. So I got it down to 17, and I felt really good about that. And then I aligned the outcomes with quizzes. And so as was shown before, you know, you can align them with assignments. So I aligned them with assignments, which I called quizzes, but they were technically Canvas assignments. And each outcome was aligned with multiple assignments so that students had multiple chances, and different assignments also had like multiple outcomes with them. So it was like a many-to-many kind of a mapping. So if I go to my gradebook, and I'm trying to do this so that you don't see the students' names. I'm trying to be sensitive to student privacy here. So let me see if I can adjust my sharing window. Okay, so this is kind of what the gradebook looks like normally. But then if you go to the Learning Mastery gradebook, let me again zoom out. If I look at my Learning Mastery gradebook, this is what I see. This is what I see in my Learning Mastery gradebook. And so you can see these are most of the beginning ones here, the fundamental ones. Most of my students have mastered these at this point. This is my summer class. As I scroll along, you know, there's a few more still working on some of these later ones. They're actually doing quite well because they've had multiple chances at things. If I want to click on a particular one, like if I want to click on this one here, I can see that it gives me a little chart showing, okay, 61% of the students who have attempted it have exceeded expectations, 11% have met them, and 28% have not met them. So I can kind of get a quick overview of how the students are doing on the different outcomes. And that's kind of nice to see. I can click on this and it will sort them. And so it will give me all the students who haven't mastered them yet at the top. And so I can, you know, look over at the side and see their names and kind of know who is still working on that outcome so that I can reach out to them and maybe offer assistance. If I click on a particular student's name, then I can click on their grades. And then I can see for that one student, I can see, okay, for the fundamental outcomes, they've mastered 6 of 7. And I know that to get a C, they need 7 of 7. For the skills and techniques, they've mastered 5 of 10. To get a C, they need to do 4 of 10. So this student is well on her way to achieving a C in this class, probably going to do better. And this is the same view as what the students see. The students see this. If they click, when they go to the gradebook, they have to click on the tab that says Learning Mastery, and then they can see this. So I've told my students to not look at the regular gradebook, to hide those, and to only look at this Learning Mastery gradebook. I see a hand up.
How do you convert the mastery information into a grade? I know you mentioned that they needed to do 7 of 7. Is there some way you've communicated this to them in the beginning?
Yes, in my syllabus, I have a chart that shows to get a C in this class, you must master this many fundamental outcomes, this many of the skills and techniques, you must turn in this many of the weekly practice sets, you must attend this many classes. To get a B, you must do, and they have to do everything in each category to get that grade. And so they are aware of that, and I've also reviewed it because there has been a lot of confusion.
Yeah, I can imagine. This is a very different way of thinking than they're used to.
Right. Yes. And then I see that there's also a question in the chat. Are the gradebook outcome indicators, you mean all those little green and red circles? Buff, is that what you're asking about?
Yes.
Yeah, those just kind of appeared. They come when you use a rubric with an outcome in it on an assignment. So this is what the students see. The students can come here and get a quick overview of what they have, then they can go to the syllabus and compare to the chart I have there. If they want to know, okay, this student has mastered 5 of the 10 skills and techniques, she can click on that and she can see exactly which ones she's mastered. Okay, this one she hasn't mastered. If she clicks on that, she can pull it down and she can see, okay, quiz 5, she didn't master it. Quiz 6, she actually, or actually quiz 4, she didn't master it. Quiz 5 and 6, she didn't actually attempt it on those. So she got no score on those. Quiz 7, she's turning in today, I hope. So hopefully by today she'll master it. So she can go and find out, okay, when is my next opportunity to master this outcome? And these alignments happen here. These things come up when you put that outcome in the rubric for the assignment.
And so if I understand that correctly, there are 4 opportunities here for the student to master it. They succeed in any one of those, they can achieve mastery.
That is how I have set it up. Yes.
No, I understand. I mean,
Yeah.
if people can choose other mastery.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand what you've just presented.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've just presented. And so finally, if I look at my, let me go to my assignments. So if I go to my assignments, for example, here is the latest quiz.
Right, and there are
And-
two possible things they can master by completing this quiz successfully.
Exactly. And then the rubric I've set up, I imported those from the outcomes here.
Okay.
When I go to grade this item in the speed grader, okay, so this would be a particular student's thing here. If I click on view rubric, I usually
Right.
expand this over and I
you
just click
select
these boxes. So if I
categories,
just
right.
did
Typical
meets
rubric.
expectations and hit save, she's going to get a little green circle
Right.
on that spot on the grade.
So she'll get a meets expectations for that particular outcome.
Yeah. And so the way I've been grading them is sort of manually. I've been grading them outside of Canvas. This is not my recommended method. I've been grading them outside of Canvas and then sort of manually transferring the grades in by clicking on the rubric for each student.
Wow. Yeah, that
Not
sounds
The best way
yes.
to do it. There's better ways. That's just what I came up with.
No, I understand. It's a
Yeah.
brand new world.
Barrett,
So how
why
did you
would
keep
you
the
do
students
it?
from using the other gradebook?
What is that? I'm sorry, I had 2 questions at once. How about Morris first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just started teaching a special session course for Compy, and I'm doing the specification grading. And these guys are all over the what if thing in the normal gradebook, trying to figure out how to get credit. Right? It's a credit, no credit class, and they're playing games constantly with it. And I was just curious how you even got them to look at the mastery stuff, given that everything of result is in the other gradebook.
I just for the first day, for the first couple weeks of class, I started every class by pulling up Canvas and showing them the Mastery Gradebook and reminding them, remember, this is what I want you to look at. But we're 7 weeks in, and I just had a student contact me yesterday and say, oh, I didn't realize. And it turns out he like hasn't been doing any of the quizzes. So I'm working with him to try to get him caught up.
Yeah, you always have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just curious because the grade book has their, whether they have credit or no credit in the course, it has the what if thing and everything. And when I tried doing student view on the Mastery, it was a little confusing to me, but I'm still learning.
Okay. And then I think Buff had a question too.
Yeah, so you mentioned you do something externally. Why do you do that? And why not do it all like you just showed, clicking on the SpeedGrader rubric there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have a good answer. I think because I wanted to use Gradescope and I really love Gradescope, but the problem is I don't know how to make Gradescope talk to the Mastery Gradebook version of Canvas. And so I think if I did it again, I might just use Canvas entirely and not mess around with two systems.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.